What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Contrarian. Today I'll be talking about a somewhat more sobering topic, and that is the recent fall from grace that has been the former and current leaders of Wall Street silver, but they're really facing a lot of pressure to step down as the leaders of this movement that I and a lot of other credible people are very much so behind, the movement of precious metals and exposing potential manipulation in precious metals. However, this maybe crowd backing has led to these two leaders, Jim Lewis and his partner Ivan, becoming very increasingly more so corrupt and guilty of potentially several different types of fraud and just bullying and censoring people, which is the very thing that they're saying that they are against. So today I'll be going through an article that was just released on Zero Hedge. I'll put the link down in the description for the full article because there's a lot of videos they attach and things like that that I won't be able to get into. So if you want to read the full article, it'll be down in the description below. Okay, now going to Zero Hedge, the title of this article is Wall Street Silver Allegations of Fraud, Censorship, Racism, and Plagiarism. Wall Street Silver's fall from grace, no longer silver darlings. Fall from hero to zero. The number of serious allegations about Wall Street silver corruption are snowballing by the minute. This drip is turning into a flood. They are intensifying reports that Wall Street Silver's self-proclaimed founder, Jim Lewis, and his assistant, Ivan Bayoukhi, have misled numerous mining companies to trade pumped-up followers in exchange for advertising, yielding a growing distrust within the mining clients about experiencing deplorable and dissatisfying returns on advertising results. So there's this, starting off that they're promoting mining companies on their channel, whether it's YouTube or Twitter, and oftentimes these are not, based off of any sort of fundamentals or actual good reasons to buy a stock. It's simply because Jim and Ivan are being paid money to basically pump a mining stock. And unfortunately, this goes on a lot more commonly in the mining and precious metal space than a lot of people would like to admit. Unfortunately, there's a lot of other individuals who are, more popular on social media as well, who do this as well as Wall Street Silver. Mark Moss, even Heresy Financial has occasionally pumped certain stocks, which I think generally is just a deplorable thing to do. At that point, you're essentially engaging in what you're accusing the mainstream Wall Street media of doing, and you're becoming just as bad as Jim Cramer or anybody else like him. And I'll just say right now that if I ever engage in something like this, I should deserve to have my YouTube channel permanently suspended. That's just a completely unacceptable thing to do, in my opinion, to basically promote something, pump something, and be paid likely tens of thousands of dollars to do that. It's completely deplorable thing, but it's unfortunately a lot more common than just Wall Street Silver doing this. But basically, numerous Wall Street Silver users report that Jim attended mining conferences off the popularity of Wall Street bets, then convincing gold and silver miners that he had the followers from the numbers they charge advertising in terms of price per impressions. And it actually gets worse in that we're now learning that Jim Lewis had no previous background in precious metals or in mining, the two very things he was charging exorbitant consultant and media fees for. So this would be like a doctor charging enormous fees while having zero knowledge of chemistry or biology. And so this is really another example of how, unfortunately, the mass movement that started Wall Street Silver allowed for a lot of questions to go unanswered, such as that Jim had no experience in precious metals or mining. So that's just another example of the deception that's going on with the leaders of Wall Street Silver. Jim's previous experience was actually the opposite of promoting precious metals. It's reported his background is working for hostile firms like Merrill Lynch, while he positioned himself as some maverick against these same Wall Street devils. So it could be almost a example of wolf in a sheep's clothing, where Jim might actually be potentially working for the suppressors of the silver price, or at least it's very questionable if he has motives to help his former employers or where he used to work. So it's just a lot more bad news for the leaders of Wall Street Silver. Basically, they're saying that Jim has attended all these conferences and he doesn't have experience. He's charging exorbitant fees, and he actually used to work for, the so-called bad guys in terms of silver price suppression. So it's basically akin to owning a newspaper and telling the local plumber that you have a readership that's significantly higher than what you actually have. Prominent gold and silver dealers who mention that there's little difference in sales whenever they purchase the so-called ape, silver buying that Wall Street Silver purports to have. So again, more proof that they really don't have the following that they are saying they do. It gets even more fishy in that, as questions begin to mount and, individuals on Reddit and Twitter are asking these questions, the leaders, Jim and Ivan, are actually beginning to censor a lot of these dissidents. And so, unfortunately, it's beginning to snowball to where, I would expect that in the coming months, this group is going to, separate from the original founders and reform around other more credible individuals. But they keep asking questions that are very pertinent, such as what happened to the money raised on their GoFundMe campaign. And that's a whole separate topic I'll get into later. Why was there no transparency of these funds? So basically show them where the money is, where you took their money with this GoFundMe campaign. What happened to these funds? What happened to the proceeds from the minted coins sold by Silver Gold Bull? And why does Jim Lewis and Ivan censor people who are asking, honest questions? So basically, this goes a bit more in depth in terms of their origin, Wall Street Silver. So it was initially to do likewise with the silver market, what had happened with GameStop and AMC and Bed Bath & Beyond, of instituting a short squeeze on institutional investors and hedge funds that for a while have papered over and continued to heavily paper over the physical silver market to where there's an immensely large leverage ratio of shorting going on physical silver. So this, of course, gained a lot of popularity with the beginning of 2021, all the interest in short squeezes that went on then. But around this time, a little later, Ivan went on Kitco with David Lin to discuss how Wall Street Silver would have a ledger that would yield 100% transparency in funds, which was raised on GoFundMe. These funds were to educate the masses on how a silver squeeze could stop bankers from manipulating the silver market via paper or over-the-counter futures trading. So they were essentially selling this GoFundMe campaign as, hey, if you want to help a silver squeeze happen, trust us as the leaders of this movement to educate new people and grow the movement and therefore help this actual silver squeeze happen. And it's actually beginning to look like maybe stars are lining up in such a way that it's actually maybe questionable as to whether Ivan and Jim were actually trying to prevent a silver squeeze from happening. Just the fact that Jim used to work for Merrill Lynch and other players who have immensely large silver short positions, and simply the willingness to shut down any sort of opposition to them, the willingness to engage in insulting and racist type of comments. It very well could be the case that they actually were trying to suppress the very movement they were pretending to assist. So it's very unfortunate. And of course, their GoFundMe campaign raised a significant amount of money, but they didn't actually end up doing this so-called ledger, transparent ledger, showing where all the money went to and what it exactly was used for. And so this is rightly so raising a lot of questions on the Reddit page and Twitter. Elsewhere, their followers, rightly so, asking, hey guys, what happened? What did you do with that? There's a lot of kind of telling and funny memes that they've made about what has gone on recently in Wall Street Silver, which unfortunately is beginning to look like somewhat of a resemblance of the very thing that it was supposed to be fighting against and replacing, which is the big corporate industrial complex of Wall Street media that is very much so pumping and dumping and censoring, not telling the truth at times. Wall Street Silver was supposed to be the opposite of that, and they're actually turning into that, unfortunately. So, as a result of all of these questions being raised, Ivan and Jim are censoring a lot of the dissidents. They're actually beginning to censor credible individuals in the precious metals mining space who, contributed to Wall Street Silver. So there's the happy Hawaiian, he likes to call himself, but he's another individual who I believe is not, along with Jim and Ivan, but he actually was in the precious metals mining space before Jim and Ivan came along. But he's apparently being censored now by Jim and Ivan because he's disagreeing with them. So they're even beginning to turn on, credible individuals with actual experience in the precious metals space because they're beginning to disagree with them and go a different way. And then there's definitely comments that they put out that are outrageous, offensive, and racist, and just not a charitable or professional way of conducting yourself. Even if you're being asked questions, the polite thing to do is to answer said questions, not censor, not insult. And so it unfortunately is beginning to snowball to this. I must say I'm glad that it's coming to this point, and actually Zero Hedge and other media outlets are putting this out so that followers of Wall Street Silver can begin to see that they need to not contribute more to Ivan and Jim. They need to pivot to other people, credible people who have been in this space a lot longer, who actually have experience, and just reform as a group around that. So unfortunately, it's beginning to look like Wall Street Silver was not everything it made itself out to be, but it's a good thing that it's beginning to be exposed and talked about in a major way, and can begin to be reformed and rebuilt around the common theme of credible and legitimate, transparent financial markets is a very laudable and very professional type of a goal to have. I think that should be everybody's goal who wants to invest fairly in the markets. And so, I'm really glad that this is happening, and I hope it can, result in actually credible leaders of the movement coming about and things like that. So, all this being said, let me know what you all think about this in the comment section below regarding the fraud that's going on, beginning to surface around Wall Street Silver. It's also gone on in other social media platforms, and people with large social media followings. So let me know all what you think in the comments section below. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and comments down regarding Wall Street Silver and the fall from grace the leaders are having, and hopefully the positive reforming of the group. So without further ado, I'll sign off, and I hope to see all of you again at some point.